If someone from commission staff can chime in, I know we had Stefan Elmer on the witness list now. Are we expecting him to join us right away or just be connecting if we need him?
I see he's here with his camera off.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Good, good. I guess I just let you in without even noticing. Oh, that's good.
I was early this time after
Oh, that's what it is.
cutting it close last
Just
time.
expecting
So
you to be here just the last minute. That's okay. All right. Well, another few seconds to go and we'll get started. All right. Looks like it's time to go. So let's get on the record. This is docket 5110 ER 106, the application of the City of River Falls for authority to adjust electric rates. My name is Michael Newmark, the Administrative Law Judge for the PSC. We're connected on Zoom, and we also have a hearing room available in River Falls. We have the utility, its consultant, commission staff, and members of the public in attendance. So thanks everyone for joining us. Oh, there's some more people. We are today creating the record in the case. That's the documents we identify and verify under oath, as well as comments we receive live from the utility, commission staff, and members of the public. We're also accepting written comments from the public. We will take those through the commission's website or by US mail, and those comments are due Friday, March 7th. So your best bet in getting those in on time would be using the internet. And there's the link and the mailing address posted on the notice of hearing, which is on the screen share right now. So it's on the live stream and will be put on the YouTube recording as well for your reference. So we do not have any public comments on file at this time, but like I mentioned, March 7th is your deadline. What we're doing with the record, like I said, we're creating the record. That'll include the recording of the hearing. And we're going to provide the record to the decision maker in the case. In this case, it's Tara Bachman, the Deputy Division Administrator for the Division of Energy Regulation and Analysis. The Deputy Administrator will review the record and make a decision. Then a written order will issue. It'll be emailed to the utility and put on the commission's website. There is a way to find that. And on the notice of hearing, you'll see more information, this documents and schedule. So that's the link you'll need to find that order when it's posted. So as well as all the other documents in the case. So that's just a little bit of briefing for the public mostly. So usually what we do is we take the utility first, we swear them in, the people who are verifying documents, and we will have them verify the filings in the case, provide an opportunity for comment, and then we'll move on to commission staff, and then finally we'll open up the hearing to members of the public. So do appreciate the public for joining us, but you have to wait, sit tight and wait for everyone else first. I think there may have been some issues in this case that are unusual, looking at some of the filings from the water team with their case earlier in the year, or maybe last year. I guess it was this year, yeah, earlier in January. And so we'll have to deal with that, but I think we'll start our normal process. When that issue comes up, we'll address it. So first of all, just let someone else in here. Why don't we begin with the usual process here? We'll take the utility and get their documents verified. So I do have a list of documents provided by commission staff that was, emailed to the utility and myself. And so we have 16 documents from the filed by the utility in this case. They break down into your notice of hearing documents and then the more technical documents. So I don't know if one person would like to verify all of them, but we'll start with the notice and then see where we go. So who can verify the notice to customers?
Sorry, Mallory. I was gonna say, Mr. Newmark, I think if it's okay with you, and I know we kind of did something similar with the water rate case. If we could have Mallory verify basically all of the documents except for number 15, that letter of disallowed expenses. I can verify that one if we can have her verify the rest.
Yeah, that's fine. That's exactly what I'm asking. So Yeah, so let's have, Mallory Clevin do the bulk of the filings first. So I'll swear you in, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, and so can you see the screen share?
Yep, I can see it.
Looks like we have 16 documents and you'll be verifying everything but number 15, is that correct?
Yes.
So are you familiar with them?
Yes, I am.
And are they complete and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, they are.
And do you have any comments?
I do not. Nope.
All right. So we'll verify document 15, the letter regarding disallowed expenses. Who's going to be verifying that for us?
Mr. Newmark, I can do that.
Okay, so let me swear you in. Raise your right hand and you swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
All right, well, state your name and title, please.
Josh Solinger, Finance Director for the City of River Falls.
All right, and we have that document 15, the disallowed expense letter. Are you familiar with that?
I am.
The complete and correct to the best of your knowledge.
Yes.
Okay, do you have any comments?
I do. I'd like to take it might be a minute or two, Mr. Newmark, just to provide some additional context to, I think the kind of the issue you alluded to earlier. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak here briefly on it. I want to reiterate, and it's in the letter that, the city doesn't want to contest this rate case. But you do have that letter where we requested reconsideration of a proposal to disallow about $262,000 in salaries from the revenue requirement. Just to provide some additional context to that, for this meeting, so I know it becomes part of the record for the administrator's review. 3 positions were included in the PSC's request for further detail. I believe it was 5 positions total. And 3 of those positions were also inquired about, albeit the questioning was slightly different, but nevertheless were inquired about as part of the city's water rate case. And as you mentioned, we were running the rate cases concurrently. So this one has gone on a little longer than our water rate case did, but the rate cases were running otherwise concurrently. The 3 positions that it appears may have been part of the salary disallowance for the electric rate case were not disallowed by the PSC during the water rate case. So from the city's perspective, we kind of viewed that as, not a consistent approach between rate cases. And what I kind of mentioned in my letter is that from the city's perspective, it would appear from kind of the PSC writ large. I understand there are kind of different divisions within your team, but from the PSC writ large, it would seem to us that it was already determined that those 3 positions are in fact allowable expenses as determined during the water rate case. So I wanted to just raise this perspective for the administrator's consideration during final decision making. Based on some discussions with PSC staff during the process, it was my understanding that the adjustments, the salary disallowances may have actually been less about specific positions, but maybe more about ensuring test year expenses fall below kind of a certain deviation above a 3-year average of our prior year expenses. So the position descriptions and justification narratives that were requested and provided, were certainly useful during the process, but may not have actually factored into the PSC's recommended revenue requirement. And so in further discussion, the way it was sort of explained to us was that if the city then still proceeded with allocating these salaries, say for the next 3 years, and then did a rate case 4 years from now, we would have 3 years of sufficiently high enough expenses with these salaries being included to raise that 3-year average high enough for those to conceivably be allowable expenses at that point in time. But again, from our perspective, for the next 3 years, we'd be unable to include those costs in our revenue requirement. So that sort of feels like it's a little bit punitive to utilities that are trying to, both adapt and respond to local needs, and of course, keep pace with this decade's high inflation that we've all been navigating. And ultimately, it's punitive then to the ratepayers. So, I do sort of understand the need for the 3-year average. A potential concern of the PSC could be that if you don't use a 3-year average to kind of set your revenue requirement, I suppose utilities could sort of request an artificially high, amount of expenses to set your revenue requirement artificially high, and then just not proceed with those expenses. So you're kind of artificially inflating your margin. But, again, from my perspective, we have to file annual reports every year. So in theory, those annual reports should be able to show the PSC if that in fact is occurring. And so it kind of calls into question to me sort of the need or the purpose for those annual reports, I guess. But that's kind of outside the scope of this topic or this issue. So, I guess in conclusion, I just want to reiterate, I guess for a third time now, if you include that letter, we're not contesting this. We don't want this to be a contested rate case, but I wanted to make these brief remarks because I know that all of the documents so far, this public hearing, ultimately go to the administrator for their consideration when they're making a final decision. So I just wanted a final opportunity to sort of explain, address, elaborate, add context. And I have sincerely appreciated the PSC, their efforts, their staff's efforts in both the water and the electric rate cases. This issue aside, it's been a very smooth process. You all do a good job, and we've appreciated your efforts along the way. And so I do, I think I and Kevin and others look forward to concluding this one way or another. And that's it for my remarks.
Mr. Newmark, may I just respond?
Yeah, exactly. I was going to ask if anyone else from
Oh,
River
go ahead.
Falls has a comment, so go ahead. And just,
Oh,
we're
I'm
going to
sorry,
give you, I need to get your name and swear you in. So
Yeah, I'll get
let's
that.
do
So
that
I'm
first. So
Kevin.
raise your right hand.
Yes,
Do you swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
yes, I do.
Okay, name and title, please.
I'm Kevin Westhouse, Utility Director here, City of River Falls. So I'll bring it right down to like boots on the ground discussion related to what Josh said. So these positions that have been disallowed in the revenue requirements are essential, vital functions to our utility. Number 4 on the list, I want to start with that one because it's probably the most vital. It's our engineering technician. This person does our mapping systems for the city, for our utilities, both electric, water, and sewer. And without this person, we do not have safe maps. We do not have an outage management system. We do not have historical record keeping. This is a vital role for the safety and continuity of our utility, that number 4. So, boy, we need this person, and they're not only needed, but they're very good at what they do. So that's 4. Number 1, the community service director. This is the person that manages our customer service team. So the people answering the phones, assisting our customers, this person manages those people. So that portion of that salary is dedicated to managing our customer service team here at our utility. So that's another vital one. Number 2, the conservation and efficiency coordinator. We have a trademark energy efficiency program here at the City of River Falls called Powerful Choices. Powerful Choices has been in place 14 or 15 years. And back 14 or 15 years ago, before I started here, which was 12 years ago, they made a proclamation that 1% of all utility revenues would go towards Powerful Choices, which included salary of this person. We've had this person in place 14 or 15 years. They bring about $150,000 back into the community through state programs, vital to our community, reflecting the culture of our community. This position is also embraced by our local utility advisory board and our city council. So this position reflects local community values. It's been widely accepted and adopted and embraced here in River Falls. So number 2 is another vital position. 5, the planning and engineering technician. This person is staking projects, planning projects, working with contractors to get work done. So these positions are not fluffy, outside the box positions, just vital positions to helping me manage and make our utility function good for our community. So I just wanted to state that.
Perfect, thank you. Anyone else from River Falls wish to make a comment from the utility?
I don't believe so, Mr. Newmark. Thank you.
All right, great, thanks. All right, great. So that's River Falls documents, opportunity for comment. Well, we may need to do some back and forth just to clarify all the issues, but I'm gonna have staff go next. But just, feel free, we can do some follow-up if necessary. Just gonna get back to our list of documents. So I don't know if, maybe you can, inform me better, Caitlin. I know we put the cost service study rate design exhibit first. Did you want to verify that document first, or should we take it in the normal order with revenue requirement first?
Whatever you prefer.
All right, well, why don't we just do cost service first since it's number one? Who do we have to verify that document?
That'd be me.
All right, I'll swear you in. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, so Caitlin and I, can you confirm that the cost service study and rate design exhibit is complete and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and just so for my own edification, your cost service study and rate design is reflecting staff's revenue requirement.
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. All right, so we'll move on to revenue and did you have any other comments? Sorry.
No, I do not.
No,
Thank
okay.
you.
So revenue requirement, Lauren Corbeil, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, and we have the staff revenue requirement exhibit. Are you familiar with that?
I am.
Are you, is it complete and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay, and do you have any comments?
I would like to address the one issue with the salaries that we excluded. In one of my data requests, I did specifically ask for time studies and timesheets and breakdowns of these particular positions that were aforementioned. It was the utilities response to not provide that. And it is with that that I proceeded forward with my revenue requirement without that information and completed those expenses.
Okay, and is that information still outstanding?
At the time that I completed my revenue requirement, all of that information was outstanding. So anything, if it was provided thereafter, was done after the revenue requirement had been completed.
Okay, so I guess is the issue that, you know, the allocation to the electric side is just not available, the allocation figure, is that?
None of the descriptions or what we were looking for time studies and how that it pertained to the benefit of the ratepayers, none of that information was provided to me at the time.
Okay,
You go.
anything else?
I do not have anything else, no.
Okay. So we do have Stefan Elmer in the wings here, and we provided on the list of evidence the water rate case revenue requirement exhibit. I guess I don't know who's best to explain this to me. How does that document fit into the case? Is that something I should just ask witness Elmer? Probably best.
Judge, this is Sophia Rogers, attorney for commission staff. I think that Lauren is prepared, witness Corbeil is prepared to explain what the purpose of that is, and then Stefan Elmer can provide some background.
Okay. All right. Well, let's have Lauren proceed then, just to explain how this document is going to be relevant in this case.
The document was being brought in to show that certain expenses along the same lines of the ones that I was just referring to were also removed from the water rate case. I cannot speak to as how much of it was all salaries or what it was. That's why we were bringing in this water rate case revenue requirement. So yeah, Elmer would be able to provide any kind of details as to which of that was salaries and which of it wasn't.
Okay. All right. So I guess because there was an issue as to comparing the treatment of these positions in the water case compared to the electric case, I think it's useful to have the water revenue requirement exhibit in the record. So we'll have witness Elmer verify that, and then we'll get some more details from that witness. So yeah, you're all ready to go. Great. Do you
Ready
swear
to go.
to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And can you confirm, well, let me just get a little bit of explanation. So witness Elmer, you worked on the water rate case for this utility just recently, is that correct?
That is correct.
And let me just act like I know what I'm doing here by giving you the docket number for that. So that was 5110 WR 105.
Correct.
Yes, okay, great. So, and so you worked on the revenue requirement and, you're familiar with the exhibit, the revenue requirement exhibit, received in that docket?
Yes.
And is that, document complete and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay, so we did have some discussion from witness Corbeil about how this document connects to the case, the issues in this case. And so I just wondered if you can elaborate on that. Do you have any comments to provide along those lines?
Sure. So in the water rate case, the utility asked for what appears to be a similar increase for salary and other IT related expenses. And so based on the utility's responses to data requests and follow-up, in the water rate case, a portion of those salaries were included because they appeared to be beneficial to ratepayers for the water utility, and a portion of those, the increase that was requested was excluded as they appeared to be kind of one-off expenses that weren't ongoing. And so that was the portion that was excluded.
Okay, and can you say to what extent, or if you know, the extent to which the allocation was denied, the expenses were denied because it was the costs were not allocated to the water side of the utilities operation?
Sure, the utility, it was around a $200,000 increase. It was account 930. And based on the information that I got back from the utility, again, in the data request responses and some follow-up, it looked like about 70 or 80,000 of that was salary, and the rest of that was not salary, kind of one-off expenses, and those were what we excluded from the water revenue requirement.
Okay, so but there was an allocation for that salary just to water, and then there was a remainder just left out of the water case.
Right.
Okay. The one-off expenses then were just denied outright. There was no allocation issue with those.
Essentially, yes.
All right, I guess, so if we need more specifics, I don't necessarily know all the questions to ask here, so we're gonna open this up a little bit for others, but I did have a question for the utility. Witness Corbeil did mention that the allocations to the electric side were not provided. Then they were requested in a data request, and I don't know if Lauren, if you can just identify which data request we're talking about.
You'll have to give me a second here to
Okay.
look that up.
And we can pull up the response because that's what's going to be in the record.
I believe the data request was back in September.
This is Mallory Clevin. So that was data request 4. It has a PSC reference number of 521416. And so that was question 1, where it was requesting timesheets and or time studies for those employees. However, I believe 4.2 was answered. It was question number 1.
Okay, so which response can we look to for that, for the answers to data request 4? I think there's one, well, we have it labeled here as number 12, but then there's also a supplemental.
Yep, so the response is PSC reference 524379. That was filed on November 18th.
Okay. So let me ask, Ms. Clevin, were you involved in creating and filing that response?
I did assist the utility with that, yes.
All right. So I don't know who the best person is. But I'm just curious. So I see there's a breakdown here. So the breakdown that's provided here in LSC 4.2 for account 930 is the electric costs.
Correct.
The only thing I would like to add to that is that my portion of the revenue requirement was completed nearly a month before this was uploaded.
Oh, okay, so it was before the revenue requirement. Okay, all right. Well, that's good information. I think the decision maker will have that both the information and the explanation for the disallowance before her. So that's going to be useful for this decision maker to review. So I appreciate everyone working with me on kind of laying that out at the hearing, because I think that's important to have this narrative developed. So I just was curious, I can ask the utility. So the numbers on this data request, response to data request 4, that's the disallowance that you're disputing, I guess we'll call it.
Yeah, Mr. Newmark, so I think it's the top question, PSCW-LSC 4.1. I think that's really the heart. So Kevin earlier had kind of gone into some explanations about a few of those positions, how they benefit the ratepayers in the community. We did provide position descriptions. I'm not sure if they would have been at the point where Lauren was still working on his portion of the process, but he had requested position descriptions for them. And he had requested narratives on how they benefit the utility. Both of those were provided. Again, I don't know if it was at the point in time where Mr. Corbeil is still working on his portion of the process. The timesheets, timesheets are what were requested. And how we do so the timesheet detail that he was trying to get at, which my understanding was, if you were to look at all of the timesheets submitted across the year, you would see specifically, you'd have employees putting, I spent 2 hours during this 40-hour period on electric related costs or things like that. When we're going about developing our budget, we work with managers to try to understand that information. So we try to not put a ton of kind of administrative onus on our employees to be filling that out throughout the year, because we want them in the field, delivering direct services to our customers. And so the process we take is we work with managers as we're developing the budget to understand how much time those positions are spending with, because they're not only charging to the electric utility, they're charging to the water utility, they're charging to our wastewater utility, which I know the PSC doesn't regulate. They also do charge to our general fund, which is tax levy financed. So they charge across the city, and we work with managers to understand what those portions should be. And then when they're filling out, several of the positions are salaried, so their timesheets aren't necessarily going to provide useful information, because it's just going to be a percent based on what we set up when we do the budgeting, based on feedback we're getting from managers. So I don't think we were in a position to provide specifically the information Mr. Corbeil requested, which would have been timesheets that kind of substantiate the number of hours they're spending on electric utility functions. That's information we're gathering back during the budgeting process. And then our payroll naturally flows from how we set up our budgeting. So we lack that level of detail, I guess. So
it's just as a percentage.
It's as a percentage, yeah. So, the narratives, the descriptions, we tried our best to elaborate on the benefits they're providing. And again, I think kind of the issue to point out again is, this was information not requested during the water rate case, requested during the electric rate case. So it's not a consistent approach from our perspective, and we're absolutely obviously willing to work with the PSC to do our best to compile information in a manner that's going to be useful for you. Again, the one thing that I would point out again, though, that we're trying to avoid on our end is making this so onerous on our employees that they're spending more time filling out timesheets than they are in the field providing direct services to our ratepayers. So that's, as a utility, that's the balance we're trying to strike when it comes to how we document some of this information.
Mhm. Okay, great. Thanks for that.
Yeah, so we have the job descriptions, duties assigned. We know what they're doing. And then accounting and finance department is allocating based on that position's needs in each area. So it just breaks out automatically. Save a lot of time.
And your budget then reflects those amounts, so there's a budget document that would corroborate those.
Yeah,
Okay.
when we budget, we've got many, if not most, of our positions are split between, if not funds, then certainly between kind of programs within funds. So as part of our budgeting process, we've got to break all those down to make sure we're budgeting for those accurately. So that would have, that certainly influences then, the test year we would have requested for 2024, which was the test year in this particular case. We just went through our 2025-2026 biennial budget process. So, that sort of information should generally be directionally the same as what we would have put together for our 2024 test year.
So I was just curious, Witness Clevin, when it comes to the other WPPI member utilities, how does this process that the River Falls is explaining compares with what's generally the process for other utilities in terms of allocating shared employee time?
Yeah, I know we went through this through another case in Columbus. They also had shared employees through the city. I can't say across the board, but in general, I think it's pretty common for utilities to share employees with the city in that shared sense. So.
And in your review of their other utilities practices, have you seen the time for these positions, shared positions across operations, be documented in timesheets?
This is the first case where we have been asked this question for timesheets. So this is the first time in my occurrence where we have needed to provide that information, but was unavailable. But I know it's a difficult thing for utilities to have those timesheets available.
And if I may, Mr. Newmark, I do just want to, I want to kind of come back to the core reason why we do this and we allocate across funds is, we have to be mindful, obviously, not only of our ratepayers, but our taxpayers. And so if we can have a position like an engineering technician come in and perform work for the benefit of our ratepayers, specifically electric assets or water assets, they're also performing services for our stormwater utility, which I know is not PSC regulated, but also our stormwater assets. They're also performing GIS work for our parks, which are tax levy funded. So we feel like we're kind of able to take advantage of some scale of economy there by having one person come in and perform work across the organization and then charge time accordingly. The alternative would be, of course, we'd have to go out and contract for this. And if we're contracting for it, you're going to be paying a premium for a whole variety of reasons that, we don't have to pay if we're able to bring somebody in and perform these in-house and kind of fractionalize their services. And then, of course, the salary allocation follows. But we feel pretty strongly as a city, and we've got not utility specific, but other areas of the city where we've had to do some contractual services in recent years. So where we feel very confident that our approach is ultimately a pretty good deal financially for our ratepayers. I mean, there have been a number of very simple 1, 2, 3 hour studies that are mandated by the state for a whole variety of reasons that we're spending 5 figures on. And we don't really have a choice. And so these consulting costs can get pretty wild. So we feel pretty strongly that this is ultimately a responsible way to do it, would be my other comment.
I just want to build on that a little bit too, from a managerial point of view. Mr. Newmark, is we hire people who want to be here. We train them. We make them feel like what they're doing matters. I personally, my phrase I use, I get these people to run through walls for me. I mean, and the efficiency that we gain by having these engaged employees who just want to do things, get things done for our utility and our community, it's amazing. The efficiencies that we've created here with the staff that we have could not be replicated by hiring consultants to do this work. Members of our community, engaged in our community, love what they do, willing to take on new tasks that cross different areas of our organization, and then allocating appropriately to each of those areas. It's a pretty finely tuned machine that we've thought about a lot. So I'll leave it there.
Okay, great. Does staff have any response to what was said so far?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mhm.
I think Lauren can provide some responses.
When we were looking into the salary expenses, these were the transfers to the general fund, and most of which was 192% increase from the previous years. So when I was looking for those time studies, those timesheets, what I was looking for was to show the benefit to the ratepayers of these positions. Granted, them giving us that percentage didn't really justify why the ratepayers or the electric ratepayers were receiving a benefit. Again, I also did not receive any of that information upon my request. So that is how I completed my work for this rate case.
Okay. I just wanted to ask from what the utility had said, it's kind of a off the cuff comment. I mean, my opinion, of course, isn't very persuasive or critical in the case, but I would say that, because you do have shared positions across operations, and there's many benefits that you described, but it also raises the issue is how those costs are allocated. So, I mean, timesheets obviously are a burden and no one likes doing them. But for example, I'm going to bill specifically for this time to this docket in my timesheet, and I need to do that as a matter of course in all the cases I'm working on. So we have a system set up to do that. That's the expectation that commission employees book time to specific dockets as they work on them. And so I know that is so there is a benefit if you are going to be sharing an employee and costs and time need to be allocated. Timesheets are a very definitive way of showing where the time is being spent. So, but having said that, I also did want to comment. I guess the revenue requirement exhibit was filed December 17th, I believe, and I was just curious if Lauren, if you could just give us an idea, when was the audit completed?
My audit work portion of the revenue requirement was completed at the end of October.
Okay, but the data request, Core Bill 4 was issued October 17th, I have on Earth here.
That had a 2-week deadline, Judge.
Yes.
End of October, okay. I didn't see the deadline.
It's in the first paragraph,
Okay.
second sentence.
Okay, great. Okay, good. And the response came in. So the response came in, I'm looking at the right one here. Response came in on November 18th. Okay, so that's all available. All those documents are on the record. The administrator can review all that. So great. I think we have detailed in very complete manner, the situation here and the positions on either side. So I think the record's complete on this, and I appreciate everyone patiently informing me as we go as well. And that's not really what you're here to do today, but it did help my understanding of what we're doing.
Judge, if I may ask one more question of witness Court Beal, that I think would be helpful to the record. Witness Court Beal, can you explain the driver behind the question that you asked in PSCW 4.1? Why did you ask for those timesheets to begin with?
Because most of those positions, it appeared to be the city or municipal positions, or were working for other departments per se, and weren't 100% or even 0.5% or 50% used in the course of the utility work. Some of these were maybe even barely 10%. So trying to figure out what portion of these salaries benefited ratepayers excuse me, seemed quite important to determine these expenses and these general fund transfers.
And can you, do you know off the top of your head what percentage the general fund transfers had increased?
About 192%.
Okay, thank you.
All right, great. So at this point, I think we're going to open the hearing up to members of the public. If we do have at least 2 people from the public in attendance. So I'm just going to announce your names and see if you do want to make a comment. I think it's Lori Spielman, you're one. Did you want to comment now?
I do not have any comments or questions. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. And Patricia LaRue, any comment? I see you're unmuted, but I'm not hearing you. No, still don't hear you.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Yes.
Okay. We're having snow here, so I do want to comment
Okay,
that
I'm just going to interrupt just for a sec. Can you put your screen on?
am I on?
I see you there. So I'm going to swear you in. Raise your right
Okay.
hand. Do you swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, so give us your name and your comment.
I've lived in River Falls for well over 50 years, and I just want to say that I appreciate having a public or a utility that we own and operate and we're responsible for. I also know that I have an interest in keeping the costs down. So I've heard everything that Kevin has said and Josh has said, and I don't want to be run by Xcel Energy or some bigger co-op type thing. So I appreciate that we have that. Am I allowed to ask questions?
Well, you can ask them as part of your comment, just to raise them. I'll decide if people should be answering them or not. But go ahead.
Okay, so my first question is where I go to get these particular documents that have been shown. I don't have access to them right now to be able to review and make a comment.
Okay.
And so I don't know if that's something you can answer, or I'll just send an email. But with regard to the 5 positions that we were talking about, our community service people are fabulous. I can go in there. We're a small town, but they know me. I know them. They can help me through problems, whatever I'm doing. But they do a lot of things for the city as well. I don't know who is our conservation and energy efficiency expert right now. That person quit back in April, and I don't know that position has been, I know we've been looking, but I don't know that has been replaced. And I will ask Kevin who these different, I know the utility people, but I just don't know who holds these, who they're calling the plan and engineer technician and the engineering technician.
Oh, do you want me to answer that, Mr. Newmark?
Yeah, if you give us the names, that's fine.
Yeah.
So, Tamara Jaworski is our engineering technician. And Chris and Todd are our engineering department, and Tyler. Chris, Todd, and Tyler.
Thank you.
City engineer, assistant city engineer, and then our technician, Tyler.
Tyler Galdi would be our planning and engineering technician. Tamara is the engineering technician. Chris Buncher
Sure.
is the assistant, or civil engineer,
Yeah.
excuse me. And then Todd
Todd.
McCleskey is our city engineer.
Yeah.
And have we replaced our conservation and efficiency coordinator?
We have a, so the timing of when this was filed versus, what subsequently transpired, of course, it's, it's kind of a timing issue, but the position, you may be aware, Patricia, there's kind of a new division that we're building within our community development department, which is causing some shifts of where this position, reported kind of structurally. So, right now we have a, oh geez, it's a, parks and, I don't remember.
Efficiency, the Parks and Efficiency.
Yeah, it's a
Parks
Parks and Efficiency Coordinator, Patricia.
Which will take on some of these roles.
And the
Yes.
forestry too, they would do forestry too?
Potentially, yes.
Okay.
Yes, and that person's been hired as of like 2 weeks ago, so.
And so the reporting structure has changed. That person, that position, was reporting to Kevin. Now it's part of our community development department. We anticipate adding a couple of additional positions to build out that division, the timing of which I'm frankly not sure, Patricia, but the intent is to build out this new division. And these would also be positions that, given the nature of their work, I, certainly would foresee a portion of those positions being charged across our utilities as well as the city's general fund.
They're doing key customer contacts. That's part of their role as well. With our electric customers.
Thank you.
Anything else, Patricia?
No, just again, I appreciate having a community-owned and operated utility.
Great. Well, I appreciate your questions. You never know what the public's going to ask, so it's great. I can show you the link to the documents. I'm going to put that on the screen share again. Let's see if I, not this. It's over here. So in our notice of hearing, probably, I don't know if it's on the bill insert, but that might not have all the details. But the documents that are on file with the commission are on this link here. And
Okay.
yeah, I know. Well, that's why I put a QR code too. There's a way to get to this. I can show you. I'll click that and I'll show you where this is exactly. So it's our case management system under the docket number in this documents tab. Excuse me. So I'll bring you back to our homepage now and just show you how to get there. So, oh, that's not going to do it. No. So if you're on our homepage, and that's psc.wi.gov, the easiest way is to go to e-services. And then to get to the page where I was just showing you, it's this docket search CMS.
Mm-hmm.
And you put in the docket number, put in the utility, utility number. No, that's probably not a good way to do it either. Hang on. Now we're back to the docket page. So
Okay,
document, know your document. All right.
Thank
So
you.
this will be on YouTube, so you can go back to the tutorial. So it's try to get all the information of all the utilities in one place. It's not so easy. So
Hey, this might get over 10 views on YouTube. This is pretty great.
yes, it may. You never know. So all right, I think we got everything we need. I appreciate everyone's help with this, and we'll await the decision maker's decision. I appreciate your help. And that's it. So thanks very much. We're adjourned and take care.
Thank you so much,
Thank
everybody.
you so much, Casey. Appreciate it.